Hey, what's up, everybody? I just wanted to come on and do another update on Bitcoin and Ethereum and generally the rest of the crypto market. Been a bit since I think the last one I did was probably almost 2 weeks ago. So lots happened. Figured I better get on and do another update. Um, Got the daily Bitcoin chart up here, and as you can see, I think the last time I did an update was right around in this area here when Bitcoin was around 16 or 17,000. And you can see it's continued to push higher. We had this pullback on the 25th that dropped a decent amount. I think it was probably like a 10%. No, actually more than that, about a 16% pullback altogether. Um, but it was pretty fast, pretty much a V-shaped recovery. Had a quick pullback, and then it's recovered really quick, especially on Monday here. You can see a nice big daily candle where it really surged up. Got to a high of 19,844, and this is Bitfinex prices or price chart here. So high of 19,844 on Monday, and then yesterday it actually topped that by a little bit and went up to 19,956 for a new all-time high, at least on this price chart. I think the Bitfinex high in 2017 was 19,891, if I remember correct. So topped it by a little bit, and then pretty much immediately pulled back. Today it's moved up a little bit. Kind of been ranging today, back and forth a bit. The high today's 19,344 and a low of 18,361. So about 1,000 points or $1,000 spread for today. So it's just been kind of ranging up and down. Not sure really where we're going to go from here, to be honest. You can see this red line is the daily 7 EMA, which has been giving really good support. Fell below it here, but now it's recaptured the 7 EMA, so we're back above it, which is good. It's possible we could just consolidate here for a bit and then make another run here at 20,000, which is this green line. You can see how close we were right there yesterday. But that's a big psychological number. I would be surprised if it easily pushes past it. I think it's going to be a pretty good fight. I think there's a lot of, it looked like there's been a lot of profit taking up in here, and also probably a lot of people shorting up at this all-time high number. So it's going to take a bit for Bitcoin to finally overcome that and push above. I could envision in the next day or so, if Bitcoin can build up some strength, maybe it could push above it, but kind of feel if it does the first time, could push above it and then probably come back down, consolidate some more, and then maybe on a second or third try get above and stay above 20,000 and just keep building up. So this is the daily chart. I've got the weekly also here that I'm looking at. You can see, let me put the the 7 EMA back on, the weekly 7 EMA, and we're a little extended from it. Typically when that happens, also on the daily, we're right there on it right now on the daily, but whenever we get extended from the 7, either on the daily or the weekly, you can see like here, it pushes up and then it'll move sideways to let the 7 EMA catch up. But right now we're real close to it on the daily. On the weekly, you can see we're kind of extended from it. So it's, kind of the same thing here. When it gets too far above it, it either pulls back or moves sideways and let the moving averages catch up. So either we're going to kind of move sideways or just kind of consolidate in this area to give it time to catch up, or we could see a pullback. Same thing with the 20 EMA on the weekly. That's been a real, I'm going to get rid of the 7 here, so just the 20s on there. But that's been a real strong support for Bitcoin, especially in the 2017 bull market. Whenever there was pullbacks, generally I think every time, the 20 EMA provided really good support. You'd get where it would be extended above it like it is here, and then you'd get a pullback, and it would bounce off the 20 and then continue higher and then pull back. Actually, I've got this chart here shows the pullbacks here, which ranged anywhere from, this one's a little under 30% all the way to this one's 40%. So some real healthy pullbacks, which we haven't seen so far. I think I'd have to check, but I think we've had, like the last one I said was like 15-16%, and we had a couple others a few weeks ago that were 18, maybe 20%, but we haven't seen like a 30 to 40% correction yet, which is still possible. Hard to say when it could happen, but they're always possible, and it's nothing. I mean, 40% is a huge correction, but you just have to kind of plan for it and not freak out if it does happen. As long as this 20 EMA gives support, and if we start falling too far below the 20 EMA and closing below the 20 EMA, then that's a different story. Kind of like here after the 2017 high, you can see here it started losing the 20 EMA and closing below it. That's not a good sign. So if we see something like that wouldn't be, in my view, that wouldn't be a good sign. I'd like to see something like this where it stays right above the 20, comes back to it, but stays, don't get any closes below it. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. So we got like 5 of them right here. I didn't mark this one here. I'm not sure what this is, but it didn't even come back to the 20. Once we had this one, then it was, which was in September, I believe. Maybe later in September. From then on, it just kind of, Bitcoin really took off. But, so anyway, these are, big pullbacks like that are possible. Other than, this is the COVID crash in March, which was like 60%. That was a huge one, but that's kind of I look at that more as an anomaly. If it wasn't for COVID, we probably would have had just more like a cup shape here without this there, in my opinion. This wouldn't have really happened. Or would have had a cup here and this would have happened sooner back here. Kind of hard to say, but I'm kind of looking from March onward. So a big pullback's always possible. You can see here we're actually right now little over 30% above the 20 EMA. So, you know, if Bitcoin wanted to, it could pull back now, and that we'd have one of those typical large corrections back to the 20. But hard to say. Like I said, it could just consolidate here and let the 20 catch up, you know, and then do a little smaller correction and then just continue pushing higher. So kind of hard to say exactly what's going to happen right now. I just know that we are kind of extended from it, so I'm going to kind of keep my eyes open for that. The possibility always exists. Still looking pretty bullish. Like I said, as long as, I mean, we're above the 7 EMA on the daily, which as long as I'm seeing, if I start seeing closes below the 7 on the daily, then like, you know, here we had this pullback. These two both closed, but it was recovering here. If we start dropping, closing below the 7, then that's, you know, that's a sign that we're probably going to have a you know, a little larger pullback, possibly to the weekly 20 or something like that. But as of right now, like I said, it's still, to me, still looking pretty strong. I've got the monthly chart here also. And I didn't mention on this weekly, I've got these support levels here that I've marked out, at least what I've identified as support levels. And they're actually below the 20. So if we, you know, this would be a pretty good sized pullback. If just to this first one, you'd be at that 40%, but that would put you below the 20 weekly 20 EMA, unless it wicked down there and then came up and closed back above it. But I really wouldn't want to see anything pulling down too far into here. Wouldn't be a good sign either. But on the monthly, you can see I've got, these are the kind of the same support levels. And I've got the 7, the 20, that's the 50. You can see on the monthly it's actually extended pretty far above the 7 and above the 20. I mean, it's way above the 20. So on the monthly it looks a little extended. But like I said, until I start seeing on the daily, the 7 EMA on the daily stop providing support, you know, then I would move to the weekly and watch for the 20 to give it support. If that doesn't give it support, then I would get a little more worried that something, you know, that it would be a big change of behavior for Bitcoin, because typically this weekly 20 does provide good support. If that fails, then there's something else going on, and I would get a little more concerned. But as of right now, to me, it looks good so far. Also, I've got Ethereum. Just want to take a quick look at. This is the daily. As you can see, Ethereum was in kind of an upward slanting channel, and did kind of a double top here. Had this correction and then came up and sort of double topped. Same as Bitcoin here. You know, Monday was a pretty decent day, and then yesterday had the pullback. Today it's doing kind of, it's basically kind of doing the same as Bitcoin today, just kind of ranging in an area. You know, anywhere from about 600 down to about 575, 580, something like that. It's just been kind of bouncing back and forth. Again, the 7 EMAs providing some support. Not quite as good as Bitcoin. If you look at it through here, it's kind of fallen below it a few times, but up in here, it's holding up pretty good. Weekly, not looking too bad. And the monthly, not looking too bad. Got a nice cup shape going on here. Ethereum's actually still quite a ways on. This is actually the Kraken. I should have mentioned that. For Ethereum, I'm using Kraken's price chart. So on Kraken in 2017, January 2018, it had a high of $1,594. So we're only at now basically 600. So we're still quite a ways from a new all-time high in Ethereum, where Bitcoin's on Bitfinex just set a new all-time high, and on a few other exchanges it has also. I think there might be a couple where it hasn't quite yet, but so Ethereum's still got a ways to go to get up to its all-time high. Typically, like we saw in 2017, Bitcoin peaked first, and then the altcoins, Ethereum and the rest of the altcoins, kind of lagged behind, about a month behind Bitcoin. So I still expect, got a nice cup shape going in here. I still expect Ethereum to do really well. I think it's going to easily take out the all-time high before it's done. So it's been looking strong also. And let me see what else that I want to look at. I had a couple other charts. Oh, I got this one on Bitcoin, which just shows. I did this one. This one's probably 5-6 days old. I was just looking at that time. I was looking at. I think I did this one on the 26th of November. Just when we got this big pullback here, the 15% pullback, which it's since recovered from. But I wanted to see, we've got a 20%, 30%, 40% pullback, where it would be pulling back to. And this chart here just kind of illustrates that. If we had a nice 40% pullback, you'd be down, mid 11,000 area. 30% mid $13,000 area. So I just wanted to kind of give an idea when this was going on, if it continued, what areas it might run down to. Then I've also got this. This is just a long-term chart that I did for Bitcoin, which shows. I kind of broke it up in the bull and bear market cycles, which, that I this is all my opinion and where I see the cycle going. Typically like a 4-year cycle. This first one's from 2011 through 2014, which takes in the peak, and then you come down right to the end here, just before you get the consolidation or bottoming phase right here. So that's kind of where that cycle, where I have it ending, and then the next cycle starts where you get this bottoming or consolidation phase, and then it breaks out of it. This is 2017 bull market, and then bear market, down to the lows at the end of 2018, beginning of 2019. And then this is the June 2019. We had that peak and then pullback. This is the COVID dip right here. And then now we're, like I said, kind of a nice cup shape heading back up. But if we look at the times here in the, I think I have it measured. I have it measured from the kind of about the beginning of the cycle to the peak, price peak of the cycle. And you see this one's like 1,463 days approximately. I don't know if these are exact, but and then this next 2015 to 2019 bull and bear market cycle, I started it here, and to the peak in December 2017, it's about 470 days. So pretty close to the same amount of time to hit the peak. And then I started this one in about the beginning of 2019. And then this is just estimating what I kind of think might happen. You know, if we had another 4-year cycle, it would be through 2022. And you can see I've got starting from the beginning to a theoretical peak. I just kind of did an estimation of maybe 1,456 days or whatever, something like that. Wait a minute, actually I did that wrong. This is the total length of the cycle. These are the length from the beginning to the peaks. So I messed that up. So we're from the beginning of the first one, from the beginning to the peak, we're 1,057 days. The next one, 1,071 days, and then got 1,029 days on this one here, this latest one. I was reading the wrong data. So anyway, you can see we're pushing up here. As far as a peak, it's hard to say. I think it's going to be, you know, we were just under 20,000 for the peak here in 2017. I think we're going to be a multiple of that. What it, you know, that's my view. It's really, you know, it's tough to say. Conservatively, I would say 50 to 100,000. You know, to me, that is a pretty conservative estimate. But I mean, I don't really like doing predictions, but just, you know, a guess on my part, I would say conservatively somewhere, you know, up in here, 50 to 100. You know, could possibly be even higher than that. 150. Who, you know, it's hard to say. There's so much that could happen that could interrupt this also. If it's just allowed to naturally run the course of the cycle, I mean, we could see some pretty impressive numbers out of Bitcoin, and then also the alts also. But there's a lot going on that could interrupt this if new regulations, you know, China's come out in the past saying they're going to ban or regulate, you know, who knows, you know, the US could come out and with massive regulations, or say they're going to outright ban anyone in the US from owning cryptocurrencies or whatever. That, you know, could have a pretty big impact on this market cycle. So barring any kind of anything like that, government coming out and screwing it up, I'm looking for some pretty big things out of Bitcoin here. You know, and it might be, you know, just my line I have here goes later into 2022. Or excuse me, 2021, later in 2021. You know, it could be if the cycle naturally runs its course, it could even be in, beginning of 2022 where we get a peak, because then we have to have room here for the bear market portion to come down. So I kind of estimated maybe a peak in here somewhere later in 2021 and then go back into another bear market. So anyway, I was just playing around with this chart, kind of looking at past market cycles and just trying to get an idea on what we might see here. But anyway, that's about all I got on that. I did have a chart on the dollar also, because that can affect Bitcoin. And as you can see, it's this is a weekly chart of the dollar, and it's since this had this big peak last March, but since then it's been pretty much all downhill. It tried to kind of recover here. We got a little bit of a bounce, and then it just kind of rolled over. And the last few weeks, well, especially like last week and then this week, it's kind of picking up steam, heading south. It's kind of broken through. I had these 3 support levels that I put in, and it's started it was kind of holding back here, bounced off it a few times, and then dropped down to this third support level. Looks like it maybe tried to bounce a little bit, and then it just fell right through it. And so now it's heading south pretty quick. Back here, you can see on the left side of the chart, this is the 2018 low, right here in February 2018. Down at that low is 88.25. So don't see a lot. I mean, there's like around this 90 level could get some support. I mean, there's a support level here. So I'd say we're at least heading down to that. Could bounce. If it doesn't bounce there, then could come down and the 89 level, there might be a little support. But other than that, it could be heading down to that 2018 low. So not looking real good for the dollar right now. But we'll see. We'll see just how far it does drop. So I just wanted to kind of show that chart real quick too. Another thing I kind of watch is let's see, gold, and this is go to the daily. And you can see gold had this peak back in August where it pushed above 2,000. It was looking really, I mean, it had a really good run from mid-July into August. I mean, that's a huge run up. But then it came down pretty quick too. And then it started moving sideways and kind of forming a kind of a descending wedge pattern, and tried to pop out of it here. I thought when it did this, I figured it was heading back up around 2,000, up to try to get above 2,000 again, but it didn't quite make it, and then had this huge down day here, which brought it back into the wedge. And then we fell out of it here. But the last couple days, it like yesterday was a real strong day. And then today so far it's up again, so it's back up into this wedge pattern again. So we'll see where it goes from here. So we had to try to break out and try to break down, and it's come back each time. So I don't know if it'll just slowly keep working its way down this way or continue moving up here. We'll just have to wait and see. And stock market's been doing pretty good. Pretty much at all-time highs, I believe, on the SPY, which is the S&P 500. That's at all-time high. Let's see the Nasdaq technology stocks all-time high. It was all-time high here. It did push above it today. Oh wait, I'm on a weekly. Go back to the daily. Yeah, you can see there was all-time high back here, back in September, and then yesterday pushed above that, and then today it's pulled back a little, but still, I mean, it's down a little bit today, but still looking pretty strong. Been a lot of volatility the last few months. And see the Dow. That's also set an all-time high. See, we were back here, back in February, beginning of the year was the all-time high. And then had the COVID crash. And then, like I said, a lot of volatility all through here. It's somewhat settled down a bit coming through, especially after the election. It seems to be kind of calming down here, and we're up, near all-time highs on the Dow Jones also. So all three indexes are looking strong. My view is, to me, it seems a little overextended. But, that's just my view. I think there's a lot of money being pumped into the market by the Fed and that. So, I think that's got it kind of artificially inflated a bit. So we'll see what the market does from here. Personally, I would be a little cautious about putting new money into the stock market right now at these levels. But that's probably about all that I've got. Like I said, I'm watching Bitcoin close to see what Bitcoin does, because Bitcoin kind of pretty much affects the rest of the crypto market. There are a few coins that'll do kind of their own thing, but the majority kind of follow what Bitcoin. If Bitcoin is a pretty big dump, most everything else is going to dump also. So I usually keep a pretty good eye on Bitcoin and Bitcoin and Ethereum, see what's going on. But like I said, so far to me, looking real bullish. I'm kind of in the back of my mind keeping open the possibility of a pretty good sized dump, which I think we're probably going to get sooner or later, down to like that weekly 21 EMA, like I said. Like we saw in 2017, unless, it's possible. I know there's more institutional investors, so I know the market cycle this time isn't exactly like 2017. I don't think, as of right now, I don't think there's a lot of retail, people piling in like 2017, toward the end of 2017, where it really took off. I don't think we've really seen that yet. A lot of just people piling in, and a lot of interest from people outside of crypto, that just get FOMO and pile into it. I don't think we've really seen that yet. A lot of this, I think, is institutional buyers. So the demographics, I think, have changed. from 2017, so we'll just have to see if we get similar price action. If we do get those really large pullbacks, it's possible maybe we don't see the 30 or 40% pullbacks, maybe 15, 20% pullbacks is all we'll see. You know, so far, the pullbacks we've been getting have been getting bought up really quick. So, you know, the dip buying has been really good, but we'll just have to see if that continues. I guess that's actually I'm over a half hour, so I think I've rambled on long enough. So that's about all I got, and I guess I don't think I said what the date was. Today's December 2nd, 2020. It's about noon now. I started about 11:30. So I think that's it. Everybody stay safe out there, and I hope you're all having a good week. And I'll catch you in the next update.